Hey guys, um, definitely gonna have to bear with me. Setup back here. I've obviously run off. So throughout this, let me know. Audio does not happen, and looks like my microphone is cutting out. Hopefully, it's good. Um, Also, how I'm actually going. Yeah, is my microphone cutting out? It looks like mic is cutting out. Give me a sec. Okay, is that any? No, it still seems cutting out. It's like it's doing auto levels or. Hey Johnny, hey. Um, I have no. Don't really have any other option other than just yeah. Anyone has any idea? I'm just using yeah. It keeps auto leveling to lower my voice. I have to like keep talking super loud to keep. Okay, I guess let me just use my webcam mic. Okay, I'm assuming. Oh gosh, that's really loud now. Okay, can you hear this now? It's coming from I think my. It's coming from my webcam, so you should at least be able to hear it. It's just gonna sound like absolute crap. Um, yeah, I think it's some sort of because I'm plugging my lavalier microphone straight into the computer. Yeah, a lot of room sounds. I know. I don't know. Does anyone know how to get to like the main sound menu within Windows? It's nothing with OBS. It's something with Windows itself. They're cutting back on the levels. They're trying to do an auto level. Yeah, sounds like crap. Uh, I told you guys this was gonna be painful before I get it figured out. It's just the stupid Windows microphone setup. There's like nothing here. Hey, you can insult me all you want as long as you figure out a solution. Hey, Lassie. Okay, maybe I have it figured out. Give me a second. Okay, let me try this. Okay, how is this? Hopefully it's not cutting it out. I'm going to keep talking for a little while. Yeah, it looks like it's okay. Hopefully. Hey, Ahid, how's it going? Did they arrive? Yes, they did. Mayako, where in the U.S.? I am in Florida, so on the East Coast. It's better? Yes, John, I know you're JF. This isn't your first stream. So everyone's content with the sound? Is it a little too quiet? I can fix that if that's an issue. Okay, so try... Okay, let me keep going. Okay, oh, that might be a little too high. Okay, how is this? This seems better, at least on my end. Let me go a touch lower. Okay, so is the consensus now this sounds good, doable, could be better, could be worse? Nico, you're in Florida. Oh, too high, perfect, there we go. Okay, Mako, looks like you get overruled. It looks like we're all good. Nico, Gainesville, yeah, it's super hot. Not that it's not hot here, but it's even hotter there. Huge success. I like to hear it. Okay, so like I said, I do not really know how to set everything up. A 7 out of 10? All right, I can live with that. Eventually I'll have an audio setup back here like I do up front, but until then, I guess we have to live with it. So I really don't know how all this is gonna work. So I have a camera set up in front of my keyboard that I'm planning on using for the actual boards. Do you guys want to have it in like conjunction with the other one of me, or do you just want to have this? It's going to be kind of zoomed in. It's a pretty tight lens, but I think it shows enough, at least for the stenciling and parts placement. Let me know. Again, I'm going to need some help here just because obviously I've never done this. But in the meantime, I'll start opening up the boards, and I'm probably going to have to keep coming back and forth on camera because I'm also doing this in a little bit different area in the back assembly line than I normally would. But I think it'll work. Same with stenciling. Stenciling's going to be floating head. Yeah, I can try that. 1 second. It's not going to be a perfect floating head because I don't have a green screen, but we'll see what I can do. Maybe something like that works, hopefully. Yeah, just let me know how that sounds. Oh, it's kind of funny how I do the adjustments. You can see it on screen now, which is funny. But yeah, literally these boards came in like, what, an hour or two ago, which is crazy because DHL normally comes early in the day. So I was kind of worried that they had gotten lost. Yeah, the quality of this, I don't know why. The compression right now seems a little goofy. Is your room lighting blue or purplish? Well, I have a crap ton of LEDs on, but if it's annoying, I can certainly adjust the balance a little bit with my overhead lights. That's good. Okay, sweet. JLC, yes, this was from JLC. JLC is where we do a good portion of our prototype boards. We don't do any real production from JLC. No, this is PCBWay, sorry. Haven't really used JLC before. PCBWay always seems to be pretty decent. And never really had a reason to switch. And I have heard worse about JLC, especially recently than in the past. So probably don't have any reason to change. 1 second, I need to go grab some tape. Be right back. So the biggest pain is going to be I do not have any sort of stencil set up for this back here. So I am literally going to have to just like tape down the board and the stencil, which is fine. It works pretty well, but kind of a pain. Because the stencil, the manual stencil printer that we have is on the complete opposite side here. And there was no way it made sense to get everything set up for all that. Plus, it's a pretty basic stencil. It should be okay. Maybe I can do that. I used GSC, never had any issues. Some use them for, or Sion uses them for fab. You have an awesome professional workroom, lab. Oh, I guess I can kinda, yeah, so this is actually, oh, it's not auto-focusing. 1 second. Okay, so here I can show a little bit of the space. Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's our full assembly line. So we have a full, if you can see all the way over there, we have a full SMT line, selective solder, some wash stations, rework stuff, and then this is like programming, rework-ish, and then the rest of the rework parts. The manual printer stuff is way over there, so that's why it's kind of a pain. Why is the stencil so big? Because they're essentially free, and a framed stencil is so much better off than a non-framed. You need a vacuum sucker. Oh, trust me, I saw Sion's thing with that for prototypes. I think that is such a good idea. I'm thinking of doing something like that. Whoa, it's a business. Yes. Yeah, this is my business. You buy frame stencils for prototypes? Yeah, and this is something I'm gonna go over. Yeah, so I guess while I'm doing this, since, I mean, doing prototypes like this, I do literally like, I don't know, a lot each week, so it gets kind of boring. That's why I was kind of shocked that so many people were interested in seeing this. So if you guys want me to talk about anything while I'm doing this specifically, just go for it. If not, I guess I can just kind of talk through some of this. But yeah, framed stencil. So biggest issue with assembling boards, even when we're doing like big production runs on our like fully automatic printer, by far the majority of your defects come from the printing process, and using a framed stencil is such a big improvement. Like, even with me literally using like woodworking clamps to hold this stencil down, you will get way better results with this than if you were to use a non-frame stencil. And pricing wise from PCBWay, I mean, again, this is my business, and normally for stuff like this the clients are paying for it, so I don't really care too much on the added expense because it makes the actual process that much better. But I'm pretty sure from PCBWay they don't really charge you any extra. I think it's the same, you just pay obviously extra shipping. But like this is a 4-layer board with the framed stencil shipping. I think it was like $100 and like change, $130, something like that. Which of course, hobby type stuff, that certainly adds up. And I don't know really how well you guys can see this. Oh, I wanted to do, okay, here, let me, like that. Can you use a stencil and metal for something after it's had its life? So ironically, or big answer, or short answer is no, I can't. I've tried getting them recycled by like scrap shops and stuff, and no one would take them. And then Bradley, who's in the Discord and actually a patron supporter, the company he has, or he works for, or used to work for, is like right down the road, and they do a lot of scrap runs, so he took like a crap ton of our stencils, literally like 40 or 50 of our stencils. Oh yeah, the space. I can kind of show you some of ours. So he took a bunch of them a while ago, so we actually don't have that many. But if you can see, just around the end of the line, underneath the fire extinguisher, that's where some of the prototype stencils are. On the other side of our main exhaust for the oven, we have a lot more of the bigger stencils, because these are really small frame stencils. They wouldn't fit in our printer. We have to use like the 29 by 29 inch stencils to fit in there. So these we just use for prototypes, and then yeah, throw them away. Didn't you have a manual center so printer jig? Sure, but it's on the other side of the room, and I'm not moving all of my equipment over there. So this will have to do. Brighten that up a little bit. And now one thing, God, I really hate how the quality of this camera streaming back here isn't that very good. One thing I will point out that I see even by a lot of like quote unquote like professional PCB guys who are like in more the maker industry is when you go to put on your stencil, and this is going to be a terrible example because I'm using some older paste, so it's not going to do very well. But when you put paste on a stencil, you don't like smear it. Like so many people think that you just like have a bead of paste and you just like smear it like you're using like wood putty. That is absolutely the wrong way to do it, and you're gonna get really bad results. You actually want to have a bead of solder that rolls across, and the goal is like a 5 to 10 millimeter bead that it rolls across it, and that's how you don't get that smush through. If you're trying to like squeegee it, that's never going to give you that great of a result. And like I said, this is going to be a terrible example because I'm going to end up kind of squeegeeing it. But do as I say and not as I do. And also the other issue because of that is people don't use enough paste. They try to get like the minimum amount on there, and that leads to that same issue. Sion does that. No, I've watched a couple of his videos. He does exactly what I'm talking about. You want to get that bead, unless that's what you're saying. Sion does it correct, because I know he does. I've watched a couple of his videos on where he was doing it, because I was kind of curious his stenciling setup. But yeah, I'm going to end up, this is going to turn out pretty bad compared to what I would normally do, just because the paste is a bit dry. But you can't have everything, right, you know? Oh, and this is GC10 paste, which, I don't know, for prototypes, I think it's pretty good. I like the not needing to refrigerate it. We don't use it for any production stuff. We've kind of been in this, like I said, I'm going to do a video more on like choosing solder, choosing types of solder and whatnot. But we use for production, we had been using Superior paste for a while, and we still use their fluxes for our selective solder, but now we're trying out a couple pastes by Alpha and AIM, and we'll see how those are. So yeah, I'm kind of able to get it to roll, not super good. So yeah, this isn't gonna be amazing. And obviously, when you get that little bit of hazing, it means that you weren't getting enough pressure on there. But with how janky this setup is, I would much rather have it like this than do a second pass, because second passes never work well. So we will live with that. And then the big issue with doing it the way I just did is popping it off. So you need to do it a little bit quicker. Hopefully that turned out pretty decent. Oh yeah, that's money. And the other thing I need to do if I'm going to be streaming back here more is I need to get a camera lens for a microscope so you can actually see this, because now you're just completely taking my word for it that it turned out pretty good, but it turned out pretty good. It's not dead accurate, but like I said, there's only an 0402s, nothing super crazy, so it should be fine. 1 second. Sorry if this is really loud. And yes, I use gloves for like everything with boards. It's just kind of an old habit from doing production work. Doesn't really help with ESD, and I know anyone here who watches Sion's videos, the whole saying is like, ESD isn't real. And it's like, sure, it doesn't affect stuff that much. It doesn't affect it until it does, but I certainly have come from a background of where anything like that's pretty easy to prevent, you ought to do what you can to prevent it. So that's why I kind of try to take as many precautions as possible. Okay, I need tweezers. Do I have tweezers? Yes, I do, but not my small ones. There we go. Can you zoom in on the PCB? Not really. My camera has a fixed lens, but I can do the next best thing and bring it up closer to the camera. I'll have to adjust the focus. Like I said, without having the microscope, you're really not going to be able to get that good of a view, but I'll see what I can do. Yeah, actually, I'm pretty shocked. That turned out pretty freaking good. So that's about as good of an angle as I can get, I think. Justin, yeah, so issue with FET. So what's funny, and when I was on Sion stream the other day and just kind of talking about the ESD stuff, I don't think I mentioned it, but what is funny, in like all my years of doing this, like tens and tens of thousands of boards, all different designs, all these prototypes, I have only never had one thing that did come back that 100% was ESD, and it was from a MOSFET. So sure, MOSFETs definitely are very susceptible, especially their gate, but once it's on the board, they usually are fine. What just turned on my fan? Oh, I'm running one of my power supplies for the LED lights, and apparently it just got hot enough running. It just turned on the, who is Sion? Unexpected Maker. Johnny, shoot his, or whoever, shoot his channel info. He's awesome. I was on his stream a little while ago. So placing all of these, let me center it. Okay, so placing these, I typically, with something like this, it really depends. I guess now I can do that. It really depends on what the board is, but I will typically start with, oh, come on. How do I get that centered? There you go. I need to make you a moderator for me to post links. Add moderator. Oh, you have all the power now, Johnny. So yeah, I usually with something like this will start with like that beefy QFN, just because once everything around it is placed, it becomes really hard to then go and place that bigger part. So that's typically where I'll start. And looking on the way I'm going to be doing this is using interactive BOM, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with, to know where to place everything. Without that, it would be a nightmare. So I will start with that, and we will go from there. So yeah, again, let me know like what all you want me to talk about while doing this, because I am just shocked that so many people like watching like assembling of a board. I would have never in a million years thought this would be a popular topic, because for me, like I said, when you do it like multiple times a week for prototypes, doing stuff by hand is kind of dreadful at times, but you know. Oh, and something else, if anyone asks, the vias on this are not tented. I normally do not tent them for a prototype, just because if I have to rework, it becomes much easier if you can access the vias easier. So that's why I kind of like that. Production boards or final revisions that we're doing like a small batch run of, we usually will tent them, but it really we usually tent them. It really just depends. If you do audio, you'll run in the op amps with fed inputs. Yes, for sure. Like I said, I mean, we have ESD dissipative coatings on the floors. All of our mats are obviously ESD grounded. ESD jacket, ESD gloves, wagon loads. I just got here. Did you use KiCad? Yes, definitely. And hey, Johnny, since you're going to be the link master, could you, and you can take it from the announcements I posted in Discord, can you post the playlist for the live stream on doing this board? Oh yeah, I guess I should also just kind of briefly mention this board. It's a switching regulator, which is the QFN like part here, and there's like 3 different models within the same series, like 15 amps, 25 amps, and like 35 amps. Like, it's madness, and they're really cool because it's controlled by SM bus or I2C. So you can talk to it, set the current limit, check the current that is being drawn, power, like all kinds of crazy stuff. So this is basically just like an evaluation board that has a header that you can break out to talk to it, power input, power output, and in conjunction with using the I2C, you can also just use like the built-in strapping, so you can just turn it on as is and good to go. You don't have to use I2C. Does that flash to store values? Good question. I'm almost positive it does, but I don't know for sure. I would assume it does. You wouldn't have to set it each time it turns on, but you never know. All right, so there's the QFN, and then from here, honestly, I just kind of start placing with what I grab. I used to try to like do a nice and perfect order of how I would place. Do you guys want this big screen to be closer? I just realized that's kind of far away. Would you want it to just be on the board here, and then I can angle this one down a little bit to get like a better view of like overall? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, hey, Dan, Simple Electronics, how's it going? Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, so I just, a bit closer. Got it. Alrighty. Not going to be able to go crazy on you here. I'm only going to be able to get it so close, and sorry if it's, like, going to freak out. But, yeah, this is going to be quite the experimental stream here. Next time when I do one back here, I promise it'll be better, but had to start somewhere. Okay, so that's about as good as oh gosh, don't drop the camera. That's about as good as I can give you. Hopefully that's a bit better. Seems like it on my end, but we'll see. So yeah, I just start with whatever bag I grab. I start placing, just because if I try to go in like some specific order, it ends up taking me a lot longer than it would normally. And I'm good enough at placing these to where it really doesn't matter. I can find a way to get around whatever it is. You can see the 0402 pads. Fantastic. But yeah, I guess while I'm doing this, if anyone has any questions or whatnot, it is really, this is really funny to me. The doing it while assembling, it's like normally I have like this big task and everything I'm like trying to explain and talk stuff through. And here it's like, here I am placing a capacitor. It is a good capacitor though. And I have timed myself just because I've had to unfortunately hand place more boards than I would like to admit for like smaller production orders. And on a good day, depending on the parts, I can do like, I'm pretty sure it's like 200 parts an hour or something, depending on what it was. But yeah, it's awful doing it like that. How is such a tiny IC of outputting 40 amps? Wouldn't that require really big traces? Yeah, good thing to bring up. A lot of times when they have limits like that, that's either like theoretical or it's die limited. So yes, if you're throwing 40 amps on an output here, you're gonna have to have like at least a 2-ounce copper board. And how well it would do it for long term, I don't know. It does have really low ESR MOSFETs internally, so it probably can get close, but could it get 40 amps sustained? I highly doubt it. Heat sink needed? I don't know. Like I said, I don't think that would be the biggest issue because the ESR MOSFETs, I'm sure, are low enough to where it wouldn't. I would say it's more so the other side that's painful, like the trace and actually doing anything, because just a 40 amp switching regulator, like a buck switching regulator, I certainly have never done anything like that. That in and of itself would be incredibly difficult. So I think that's more of the issue rather than the actual IC. There's a guy who cleans drains clogged with leaves and other debris. He's got almost 1 million views on his videos. So you're telling me I assemble and design circuit boards all day for a living, and I could be out unclogging drains and have 1 million subscribers? There's something wrong with the world. Okay, so this paste was much worse than I thought. It's starting to flake a little bit. So this might be a little difficult, and I'm probably going to want to do this rather quick because the longer it's out here, the worse it's going to get. And 0402s are small enough to where they can completely flake off, which would be really bad. I only am using old paste because it's not for a client's job. That's usually the way it works. If it's something for me, I do like all the shortcuts, and it ends up obviously coming back to bite me. Where's our 6? Oh, right there. Paste is getting frosty, right? Yeah, and it's like it's a temperature and humidity controlled room back here. It's 39% humidity. It's like, come on, man. Aw. R6 I have spec'd as a 0603, but I used an 0402 pad. Aw. Rookie moves. Luckily that's just for an LED, so we'll skip it for now. Gotta love when that happens. C15. I had to completely redesign a board. I had parts under parts, which required people to know which part to solder, removed everything. Yeah, that gets painful. Paste is getting frosty. Yeah, unfortunately. Oh, wait, I already answered that. I forget whose comments I answered. That's probably why I should go from the top down. That would make sense. C15. I was thinking about watching you doing a boring test, but yeah, sure, clean those Florida drains. Right. Electronic YouTubers have a very low ceiling relatively. Yeah, I've noticed that. It is kind of funny. Like, the biggest electronic YouTubers, like you just said, they are like roughly 1 million subs. And then it's like you look at some of the other YouTubers out there, like look at Linus Tech Tips. Like, he's got total probably like 30 million between all their channels. And not that I'm saying they don't deserve it. They kill it, but it's just kind of funny how like different genres have such a different ceiling, like you said. I've been using only 1206 since I'm scared. Yeah, I mean, certainly when I started, I'm pretty sure that's how everyone starts. You're really scared of it. But truth be told, and I've taught like 4 different people who have come and worked for me, who have had like no experience with assembling or doing any sort of placement, and you literally can place like an 0603 after like an hour if I show you, or you start practicing. 0402s take a minute, but they're still not bad. The biggest thing, and I guess this, if you're like watching how I'm doing this, you see how I'm touching like my right hand. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, if you're touching, I touch my right hand with my left finger. Oh, my head gets in the way. Oh, sorry about that. I don't have 2 monitors back here, so I can't really tell. So how far can I lean? Okay, so as long as I go to there. Yeah, I don't have 2 monitors, so I can't see what I'm doing in real time. So sorry about that in advance. But yeah, you put pressure up against your hand, and by putting pressure against it, it steadies it. Because you'll hear people say, oh, I don't have a near steady enough hand for that. It's like you don't have to have a steady hand at all. You just have to know like how to trick it to be steady. And that's the biggest thing. You want to have as many points of contact with the table as possible. And as long as you do that, and what I'm doing here is you rotate the board, it's really not that hard. I mean, it's tedious, which is part of the experience, I guess. But unless a board has like over 200 parts, we won't put it in the pick and place, just because it ends up taking a lot more time, which kind of surprises people. Like, yeah, we have a professional pick and place, yet virtually every prototype I'm still hand soldering it or hand placing. But it would take me like 3 hours to set up the pick and place to run this, and it's gonna take me like, I mean, if I wasn't doing a stream, probably like 30 minutes to do this by hand. So you just got to figure out when it makes sense and when it doesn't. C12. But yeah, I mentioned it before. iBomb, Interactive Bomb, is like the greatest thing ever for hand placing boards. If I didn't have that, I mean, these would be like a literal nightmare. Let me see, did I miss anything? I've done the reverse a few times, part pads, but only get the actual bit. Yeah, it happens. I don't know, I did it on accident. I don't know how I ordered it, which is kind of funny because all of my symbols are tied to a specific part, so I'm actually going to have to like check and make sure that doesn't happen again, because that's kind of bad. But that's what multiple revisions are for. And if that's the worst thing that happened on this board, not being able to populate a LED resistor, whew, I'd be sitting pretty. But yeah, so like, oh crap, what number was it? C10. But yeah, rotating the board is really big. And then like that was an 0603, so like the majority of these parts are 0402s, but there are a decent bit of 0603s. And honestly, I mean, yes, the 0603s are obviously easier to place, but it's really not a big difference. Like, it doesn't make me like think twice if a board's gonna have 0402s or 0603s, just because they really are about the same, and our pick and place can do either of them just as easy. So I typically nowadays just kind of start with 0402s and then go to 0603s if I have to. I just keep blocking it with my head, so sorry in advance. I'm probably going to keep doing that. It's kind of old. old habit. And then go to like 0603s for stuff that requires it, either like a larger cap value, higher voltage, or for a resistor, a higher power dissipation. That's about it. Interactive BOM is built in with KiCad. It's a plugin. It's awesome. I designed parts for the 3D printer that would take 15 minutes to make out of what I would totally run the pick and place. Yeah, you say that, but it's not fun to do this. I mean, it would take literally 3 times, 4 times as long to get it set up, and you'd probably have to like adjust 2 or 3 parts with it also just for fun. I can do a video on that. It'll have to be a more complex board. Like I said, if we're doing a board and it's got like over 200 parts and there's a lot, like if there's 30 or 40 of one jelly bean component, totally I am running the pick and place. But anything short of that, no. This is what makes sense. Okay, cool. I was wanting to place these 1210 caps because they're kind of getting in an island by themselves. Johnny, can you paste his Discord? If you're talking about mine, it's in the description. Same with my the Patreon if you want to hop on there. Oh, come on. Little wink wink nod nod. When I start doing the EMC, there's going to be a lot of content that's going to be on Patreon. So you might as well get ahead of the curve. Ugh. Okay. But yeah, I'm super excited to see how this works, because this is like literally the only like buck converter I've literally ever gotten excited about, and it's like we use them all the time, and for something like this to be this cool is pretty neat to me. I just hope that first spin, everything on stream works. So if it doesn't work, then I definitely have gripes with everyone here who watched that stream or that series of streams, because you could have caught an issue also. So I will be blaming you guys for sure, unless it was something that I did like on my own, but then I'll still find a way to say it was your fault. I kid. R14. Can KiCad auto-generate layout? You mean auto-route? Yes, it can with a plugin, but free route is absolutely atrocious, and you don't want to use it. And people always say, like, oh, don't use auto-routers, they're terrible. As an overgeneralization, sure, you can say that. But a lot of the high-speed stuff you'll see, like motherboards, graphics cards, DDR, it's all auto-routed. A lot of stuff from, like, Cadence is really good. But you end up spending like a ton of time fine-tuning it and redoing it. But it's the only feasible way that you can possibly route something like that in a reasonable amount of time, and it still takes a lot of tweaking. Clearly it must be your assembly skills. Oh, is that so? We'll find out. I know it is funny. It's almost like part of me is almost kind of hoping that something goofs up on the assembly side so that I can kind of show some rework on it. But then part of me also isn't, because who actually wants there to be something wrong with a board? But we'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You should have gripes with people who don't watch the streams because they could have been there. Oh, that's a good point. So anybody who could have fixed it but wasn't watching the stream. I like the way you think. R5 and R2, R5 and R2. What's funny is how I complained about the paste at the start. It's actually been pretty good since then. I haven't noticed it yet, or I haven't noticed it again. So hopefully it was just like a fluke thing with that first little pad. But it's definitely older paste. I shouldn't be still using it. It's not that it's old, it's just it's been opened and closed a lot, even though it's the Pro Flows. I would find it interesting to see I set up a pick and place, never run. Yeah, I can do that. I'd like it to be something, or I guess I can just make up a dummy board, or double-sided tape it, and run it some. That could be kind of cool. But yeah, the fact that people like watching like boring stuff like this, that opens like a whole new realm of what I can do. It's kind of funny. Keep that in mind. Because I do feel like all joking aside, I do feel like for live streams and obviously videos, like pressure in the sense that it's like, oh, I got to have a really good topic for this. But the fact that people are kind of content just seeing like more day in the life type stuff is pretty neat, and I'll definitely keep that in mind. It just does stink, obviously, because I could do stuff like this on stream literally 3 times a week, but it's all stuff for actual work, and all of those are like NDA'd, so I can't actually do that, which kind of sucks. I like to make a lot of mistakes, so I need to have a very large blame pool. I know, that's the key. Like for KiCad, I wish there's a better limited interactive router so you can move multiple parts. Yes, that is something that Altium has way above this. I heard that they're going to start working on that soon, but we'll see. The differential pair router on KiCad 5 seems to be better than the new one, but I'm assuming it's because they're tweaking it. At least I really hope. Do you have a specific tweezer you recommend? Yeah, it's the CHP ones. You can get them on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure it's the same brand as Heiko. You don't have to get expensive tweezers, but you have to get good pairs, and good does not mean expensive. Back when I worked at a biomedical lab at my university, we had like the Fisher Psi like $300 tweezers, and it's like, sure, they were really nice, but I literally bought a couple of these while at there and started using them instead because I liked them a little bit better, and these are like $10. So you can have absolutely crap tweezers and nice ones, and they'll be the exact same price. So take that for what it's worth. Man, this is a chunky inductor. It's always funny seeing them. Ugh. It's like, how do you even pick up that stupid thing? Alright. And other than the LEDs, I believe we are done. Can you connect pads from both sides of the board with a via on the pads? Like a via in pad? Sure, you can, but it's usually not a good idea unless you plate them, which is more expensive from fabs. But you can, it's just solder wicks down in between them, so you normally want to not do it. Share the tweezers in Discord. Sure thing, I can do that. Oh, come on. Dang, these are small. I didn't realize I got 0603 LEDs. Dang, these things are tiny. As I just placed an entire board of 0402s. Something about a small LED just looks kind of funny. Those ceramic sets, I got a set. Oh, come on. There you go. Oh, I didn't mark anode and cathode on here. Dang it. So it looks like power's on this side, and then this side is ground. So I'm gonna guess it's anode to ooh. 50-50 shot. I know I'm gonna be wrong. You think it's that way? And the other one, which doesn't even have a resistor, so it's not going to work either way. Let's go with this way. Watch, I'll have both of them wrong. Alright, let me go seal this up real quick. Just started on PCB design, but your videos have really guided my designs. Grateful the amount and quality of info you provide in your videos. Awesome. Glad to hear you find them helpful. That's something for sure. If you guys want to do like a little step up from your setup, get a vacuum sealer, a heat sealer. Like we have vacuum sealers and cutters, like all fancy stuff, but you can get like cheap ones online for not that much money, and they are fantastic. So I believe that's everything. So now I just kind of go through and make sure it all looks good. And I'm probably gonna block the camera with my head, sorry in advance. Everything there looks good, and now I go through IBOM and make sure I didn't miss anything. Jumper, test point, through hole. So I'm going to meander around and find some food. Have a good evening. See ya, man. Glad you stopped by. Okay, so now the part I've been kind of wondering how to do is I don't have my, all the reflow stuff's over there, and I can't bring everything here. I can't bring all the camera equipment there, so I guess I'm gonna have to bring my hot plate over here, which sucks because I don't have a fume extractor here. I have an old, like one of those blue Heiko ones, which maybe will work. So I will be right back and try to grab some stuff and see how that all works. Do you use a microscope for inspection? Yeah. And I don't know if you were at the beginning. That's one thing I'm going to work on, getting a camera set up so I can show the microphone while doing this. But I will be right back. Okay, I need to try to find an extension cord to plug in the hot plate because I can't plug it into the outlet right here because it'll trip the breaker. So I think I have one out in the shipping area. 1 second. Alright, so yeah, this is going to be a super sketchy setup. I'm using like a 20-foot extension cord to go to an outlet to where this won't trip it. And I don't really have a fume extractor, so I'm just using this Heiko carbon one, which I guess works. I don't really know. I haven't used it in like years. Okay, so yeah, this is, that's not the first rodeo for this hot plate. You would be right. That thing, it's seen some wear and tear. But what's nice is when it gets all nasty, I just go ahead and like sand off the top surface or like use an emery board, and it gets right back good as new. But yeah, probably could use it. You should use Save My Life. Sion doesn't. How many watts is that? I forget. I think it comes out to like 12.5 amps. Okay, so what I do here is I will take, so I don't have like a control system for this yet. I'm literally just plugging it in, timing, and then seeing when it reflows. So what I will usually do is take a little bit, oh, and there already is some right here, but I'll put some new solder paste near where the board will be. So it gives me a really good reference for when it's going to start reflowing. And I think you're out of focus now. Let me see. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So what I do, the hot plate can almost follow a full reflow profile, but I have to start it a little early. So I will start a countdown timer or just a stopwatch. So hopefully this doesn't trip anything because I don't normally plug it into this. We will see. Okay, good so far. So yeah, I usually will wait like 2 minutes. How long does it take up to heat up a big plate? So it'll reflow within 5.5 minutes. So it's a little bit longer than an actual profile, but not too long. But yeah, this thing is an absolute beast. And one of my next videos, maybe not one of my next, but in the next few videos, I want to do like revamping, building like a nice enclosure, getting like a controller for this because enough lights go out. Yeah, I hope not. Kind of the same thing with the pick and place. It's like we have literally like an 8-zone industrial oven. We have a 5-zone industrial oven, but for prototypes, I'm always breaking this thing out. It's just amazing for real quick boards. But I guess one thing is it's probably going to take a little longer to heat up than normal because this extension cord. So we'll see. And stream continues. Yes, it is on a separate breaker, so the stream would continue. We would lose half the lights because half the lights I think are on that breaker, which is kind of an issue. What consumes the most time of setting a pick and place job, setting up the software, loading the reels? I've got a pretty streamlined process for software, so it's definitely loading the reels on the machine, but it really depends on the board itself. I pop breakers in here and we use a larger heat gun. Yeah, right? Yeah, this thing, because I think there's 6 of these and they're like 2-ish amps. So like I said, it's like 12 or 13 amps total. So as long as it's in a dedicated 20 amp panel, it's fine. But a lot of these I have with different equipment, and like the one here where the computer is, obviously there's a lot on there. Did you start out working for a big company and then go indie or always self-employed? I started working, like doing freelance stuff for myself while in school. So I kind of always have been. Oh boy, this is a heavy little board. This is not going to be pleasant to pick up. I wasn't anticipating that. Whoops. And yes, before you ask, I absolutely have dropped a board moving it on here and have had to redo it many times actually. More than I can probably count. Is it been used? Oh, I see smoking, so you're probably not going to be able to hear me as well. I'm going to have to turn this on. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that little bit of solder. Once that starts to reflow, it's about 40 seconds more on this board. The issue is, I don't know if this inductor is going to be able to reflow. I really would like to have my hot air gun on here, but what cord is in the way here? What cord do you see? Oh, you see the tripod. I was like, what do you actually see there? I would like to have my hot air gun on this, but the fact that my hot air gun's over at the reflow station probably means I won't be able to, so I might just have to touch it up after. can use a cooking spatula to pick up boards. So funny you say that. On our oven, like when we're doing a production run, this is what we use to grab them. Rubber, like, replacement oven mitts. They work really well. Yeah, this exhaust thing does not work whatsoever. I'm seeing smoke just going everywhere. But I guess it is what it is. I try my best not to smell cancer fumes every day. I rent, so running new circuits is not on the card. Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess it works somewhat, a little bit. And this is probably a small enough board to where you can see it warps a little bit, but not too bad. So I will probably just wait until it gets close to reflowing, and then I'll start pinning it down. We're at 4.5 minutes, so it'll probably be pretty close. Yeah, I have we have a big one that vents outside and then an intake like on 3-phase power. But for our hand tools, we have like a pretty big Weller one with like a 30-pound activated carbon thing. But again, alas, I don't have the camera over there. Okay, so this is reflowing. So now we've got less than a minute for these to start going. So now I will hold this down. And I don't know how well you're going to be able to see anything. You can see the smoke, which now I'm starting to breathe in, which is lovely. Okay, it's starting to reflowing. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. Probably not. And now once the majority reflows, I'll unplug it, and that sparked like crazy, because normally I have it on a switched outlet. So now everything has reflowed except the inductor. It's starting to reflow. I think I'll let it sit here. Yeah, the inductor's going. And it has reflowed. So now lift it up, let it cool. And normally I put this in the exhaust fan to cool it down, but I don't have that ability right now. I see the smoke is aiming for your nose, right? That's what I was thinking. Oh man, that is really bad. Oh boy. The things I do for you guys. If that's not worth a Patreon sub, I don't know what is. Giving myself cancer for you guys. I'm obviously just joking, but it does help. Okay, so now I have to very, very carefully move this away and not trip on my microphone. So what's funny is when I hire someone new and I'm like going through like the prototype and new design process with the hot plate and teaching them soldering, it's like, you're gonna touch yourself soldering, it's not the end of the world. And then it's like when I get to the hot plate, I'm like, if you drop that thing on yourself, like that's gonna be like one of the worst days of your entire life. That scares me way more than anything else. So now it should be mostly cooled down. Visually, the QFN looks perfect. All the 0402s, 0603s look perfect. I'll try to show you guys the best I can here. Once again, sorry I don't have the microscope set up. Oh, hey, Ibotics, how's it going? Glad you made it. And yeah, I'm pretty impressed. The inductor reflowed perfect. Yeah, I'm super happy. I am going to check it in the microscope just for a second. I think I still have the microphone long enough. No, never mind. All right, so give me a minute. I'm gonna go check the board under the microscope real fast, but I think it looks fine. As I just kick the microphone and probably blow up your ears. Okay, yeah, so it looks like a reflow. It looks like it reflowed absolutely perfect, which is shocking. So I wish I could bring at least one of the cameras, because I'm going to have to solder all of the through holes, and not like there's a lot, but it's at least like 5 minutes. I'll see if I can at least bring the webcam over there. I think it might reach. Yeah, it'll kind of reach, maybe. Let me see. Yeah, it'll reach at least close enough. You won't get a great view, but you'll at least get a view. So let me go through. Is it 8 p.m. in Florida? Yes, I think so. Pin 3 on the chip looks wonky. Yeah, but look at the footprint. It's a 3 padded footprint right there, so that's how it's supposed to be. Wondered if it would be worth placing the inductor last and preheating it. Normally I just like having some above hot air. That works pretty well. Hi Johnny, things are hectic. We had a short. Lovely. But there, pin 3 on the chip looks wonky again. Here, I'll pull it up just to see. But I believe, and I know what you're talking about, but they are all like that. The 3 pins there, so they're supposed to be connected because they're on the same pad. But I'll pull it up just in case. Yeah, so they're all supposed to be connected, so we're all good. I'll see if I can upload the picture of this so you can see what it looks like. Upload. So check out that picture. That's what the footprint is. So here, you'll be able to see me soldering on these through holes, but I am not going to be able to see the chat for a few minutes. So I will be able to respond in a second. Yeah, Wagon, check the picture I just showed. That's it. So yeah, this is the exhaust that I use, the fume extractor, so it's also going to get really loud. Sorry about that. And I need to go grab a couple more connectors. I will be right back. Okay. What's really funny, I don't know if anyone noticed, when the webcam was back in the spot it was originally, you could see there was a clock on in the background. If any of you were really attentive, you would notice that that clock turned off. And that's because that's on the breaker where I had the reflow oven or the reflow plate. So it was not connected to the
what do you call it? It wasn't connected to the lights, but it was connected to that fan. So when I unplugged it and I said, oh, that was a big spark, apparently it was, and it did trip the breaker. So I'm gonna have to go fix that at the end of the stream, but for now it's fine. And you're probably not gonna be able to see me soldering the through holes very well, but it's really not that exciting. You're not missing much. Oh, that's a big thermal pad. I'm gonna have to break out the big guns. So the normal irons we use are all Metcals, but then also have this really beefy, I think it's like a 400 watt Heiko, which is for stuff where it has a really big thermal pour. So definitely gonna use that there. It takes a minute to heat up, so I can check the chat now. Pin on pad 12. Pad 12. Okay, I'll check that. I think 12 was fine. I didn't see an issue there. Let me check. Oh, I guess I can do this now anyway. So yeah, using this beefy iron makes it so much easier. Soldering big thermals. It's still a pain. I forgot how much copper we used on this, but it makes short work of it. And for anyone who didn't watch the live streams of me designing it, my plan is once this is all running and hopefully working, I'm going to do a condensed version where I go over the design, the assembly, all of that in like one easy to digest video. So don't feel like you have to go and watch like 6 hours of recorded streams to see the design of this. Of course, you totally should, but that is a lot of time to watch if you didn't watch it live. But yeah, this beefy iron was one of the best things I ever got for pads where you're not using thermals. Like, it's so nice. I still will use preheaters a lot, just especially when we're doing a lot of boards, just because it saves so much time. You put one board on the preheater while you're soldering the other, and it makes the soldering so much easier. Okay, now what's funny is I forget what half these jumpers are for, like the connectors we put on here. So I'm probably gonna have to look back at the schematic and see, because I kind of forget. I'm pretty sure how it's set up, we can just hook it up and go for glory. I don't think we have to do anything. I know there is one enable pin, so we might have to jump one of the sets of jumpers. That I'm not sure. So if anyone wants to check out the schematic in the meantime and let me know, that would be helpful. Alright, so there you go. Now you'll finally be able to hear me properly again. Got that fume extractor on. All right. Do you not know how much this sucks? I have major anxiety and stress. Oh, that's not good. Don't want to hear that. The jumpers, we tricked you to adding right. You've been eating alcohol, you look really pink. Yeah, it's because there's like 8 different color temperature LED lights in here, and I don't exactly have the white balance set for like every single one, so it changes depending on where I'm at, but I do look really pink. That is funny. Here. I can at least adjust it a touch. Whoa, that's worse. There we go, look at that. Okay. So here it is. We've got input outputs and all the smaller connectors done. So let me move this camera so you'll be able to get a better view of when I'm testing this. But yeah, if someone wants to check the schematic and see, just to see like what the enable pin is, because I'm pretty sure we can just hook it up and test it. Oh, is White Rabbit on this stream? Because he wrote a library that can talk to this. Though I actually don't know if I have an Arduino board laying around. I don't really use them, which would kind of be a bummer. I guess I'll have to get one at some point because I kind of asked if he would write one. Okay, now, oh, I'm gonna switch lenses to one that is not gonna be quite so zoomy, so it's gonna get really bright, so fair warning. Okay, there we go. Fighting the tripod, yeah, right? I told you I'm still getting used to this streaming back here. It's so much easier doing it out front where, like, I just have to be in front of the computer. I need to watch, like, Sion and some other people who stream more like this type of stuff to see how they do it. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that. So I guess I'll pull up the schematic and see if we can just go for glory here. Oh, I didn't label which side was, I didn't label terminals either, so I don't know which is positive and negative. Okay, so we have the 3-pin jumper sets the I2C jumper, so we don't care about that. J1 is our main input, so I'm looking for JP2. Okay, it's enabled by default, so we're good to go on that. So now I just need to see which side is positive and which side is negative, and I will mark it with a Sharpie. So negative there, and negative there. All right. Anyone got any of them microcontrollers? I know, right? Your other cam is really neat, balanced colors. Maybe the webcam. I know. My other camera is like a $500 mirrorless camera. This is a $80 webcam. There's that better on the color. What kind of engineer are you, Kyle? Everyone needs at least one Arduino board they can quickly program. Yeah, we use more Nucleos for stuff like that, but, and I've mentioned this in the past actually, we don't do much breadboarding. Everything we do, we'll just get the actual board designed and then prototype on that. I mean, obviously everyone's different, but that's kind of the workflow that we like. It seems to work. Okay, now I'm going to move this webcam. So I'm hoping to be able to show, you guys will not be able to read anything on there. Oh, this is such a cluster. Okay, maybe there. Now you can read my, oh yeah, perfect. But now you can't really see the board. Like that then. Now what's funny is it's almost too zoomed out. I almost need to go back to the other lens. Yeah, let me do that. And yes, I know a kit lens that had zoom would be nicer, but for doing actual videos, it's way nicer having fixed lenses. But for doing something like this where you have to do stuff on the fly, totally would be nicer with a zoom lens, so maybe that'll be in the future. Okay, there we go. Whew, that was painful. Okay. Nucleos count, in fact, they're better to have around. There you go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me, that there, and okay, so now the moment of truth, or the fun part, whatever you want to call it. So first things first, I always check the resistance of the input terminals, because if you have like a dead short or you're pulling like 50 ohms, you obviously know something done got goofed up. So that's the first thing I'll go ahead and do. So let's put in some probes. And there's a lot of input capacitance here, so it's gonna take a second for it to get charged. So you have to see it after a minute. So, and it should keep going up as they charge, which they are. So I'm pretty happy with that. So we're good there. Now let's hook it to voltage. And okay, now let's get our power supply going. Oh, as I drop one of my nice tweezers. It's so hard to do around like 2 different cameras and dodging my microphone cable. Let me grab a screwdriver. Just had the one. Like literally right before I started the stream, I had my adjustable screwdriver out here. Of course, now it has vanished. Oh, there we go. Hopefully this isn't too big. Nope, perfect. Oh, it is too big, lovely. And my precision screwdriver set is on the other side of the room. 1 second, I'll be right back. All right. I was literally getting worried that this entire test was going to get foiled by a lack of a screwdriver. All right. And I don't have another small probe there. Let me see what else I can use. I guess I'll just run a couple wires straight to my DC load. I'll see if I can get that in the camera as well, because that will measure voltage as well. If you're wondering what that sound was, I was just stripping off output wires. Oh, does this not tighten all the way down? Oh, I didn't strip it far enough. Outstanding. We can't see the whole board now. You are right. There we go. Who knew the hardest part of the entire assembly was going to be hooking up the supply? Okay, so let me see if I can get, oh, I can. Fantastic. So bottom is my DC load. So that will be where we are able to adjust the amount of current that is sunk. So ground, 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 ground. Now let's hook this up. Okay, hot, hot, ground, 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 not touching. Okay, so what I will do is set the DC load up to have a constant current draw of, let's say, 50 milliamps to start. And when this is on, it will measure right there what the output voltage is. So I believe this is set to output 5 volts from the start. Hopefully, we'll see. And then on the supply, a big thing that I always like to do is limit your input current a lot on the first startup, just to make sure if anything goofy happens, it's at least going to be clamped on the current side. So I have the current limited to 12 volt or 100 milliamps at 12 volts. Was the input supply 12 volts? I kind of forget now. Yeah, 12 volts. Okay, 12 volts, 100 milliamps, 50 milliamps. Actually, let me only sync 20 milliamps on the output side. Okay, so you guys ready for this? Anyone got any final words before we test it? Any other things that might be off on it? Or do we just go for glory and see what happens? It still sucks how delayed the chat is. Go for it. I got one go for it, so let's let it rip. All right, ready, on. Okay, the output, there's clearly a lot of noise. Are we limiting on the... Someone is not happy. What happens if we turn? Yeah, I tried letting it source more current, but it does look like that's an issue with the supply. Nothing's hot. Nothing's really mad. Well, you have to check for hot stuff. That's the most important first step. What's weird is I can hear like it's switching, which it shouldn't be because it's a pretty high frequency supply. I think, right? I actually completely forget. What frequency is this? 1 megahertz. Yeah, so we should not hear anything. So yeah, what is probably happening is it's freaking out the power supply on the wall supply, which can happen, and it's causing it to have an issue. So let me try, and I've definitely had this happen in the past. Let me get some wire and run it a little bit shorter because there isn't a ton of bulk capacitance on here. I mean, I don't think that would be the issue, but you never know. But yeah, you got to do the, whoever said checking for hot stuff. That's like the most important test other than the smell test. If you start feeling something hot, then you know there's probably something wrong. And then if it does start getting hot, that's when you go to the alcohol test and you spray alcohol all on the board and you see if it, see where it evaporates from, and that's how you can figure out where the hot spot is. I have certainly had to do that a lot in the past. The lower number of the supply went up and down. Was that the current? Yeah. Either the current or it also shows the power. So that's probably it internally limiting it because it was drawing a lot of transients on here, which I've had happen in the past with this supply. We'll see if screwing it in with wire works any better. Is there a ground loop? There should not be. Ground. But the one good thing is it did technically output roughly 5 volts. So there's something. Okay, good. All right. Let's let her rip again. Can you see this? Yes, let me move the camera a little bit. Okay. I'm late as usual. Of course you are. But you are at the fun part, turning the bad boy on. Our first test went, decent. We have output, it's just not quite regulated. Okay. Wonder what happens if I start sourcing some more current, if that stabilizes it. No, that's the opposite of stabilizes it. Wagon, is there a common ground? Yeah, I mean, I can try. Yeah, so even with the output disconnected from the load, it definitely is doing better. And I don't really hear it as much either. And everything's still nice and cool. Can always hook up the input side to a scope. What do you guys think? Do the scope first, or I was just gonna throw some yeah, let's try the scope and see what we get, because I want to see what frequency it's at. The problem's gonna be it's gonna be kind of hard to show my scope because it's up on the top level. But I'll see what I can do. Okay, so let me disconnect. And I'm just going to strip off some of this wire to have a spot to connect the scope to. Won't be perfect, but it should be good enough. If the scope can do FFT analysis, that would be good. Yeah, but it should be pretty easy to see what frequency the flickering is. I mean, it's in the audible range, so it's pretty low. Oh, what I bet it's doing is something is tripping the overcurrent sense on the. Yeah, we'll still look at the scope, but I bet that's what it is. Something's triggering the overcurrent sense on the buck converter, and it's turning it on and off, and it's turning on and off at whatever frequency I'm hearing. So if anybody wants to look at the data sheet, make sure I'm doing the right thing with the enable pin. The jumper is not on, so it should be enabled. And then my only other guess is something with that V sense line is wrong, because it uses this weird differential side for the loop stability that I've never used before. So that's kind of the only other thing I can think of. But yeah, thinking about it, I guarantee that's what's happening is it's turning on and off really fast. What's funny is, if anybody remembers from the stream, so there's a lot of output caps paralleled, which lowers the ESR. And I had said that one issue with that is you can have really bad loop stability. But this buck converter is explicit in the data sheet in saying that, oh, we don't care about how much output capacitance you have. You can use any capacitors, and you don't have to do like a ripple injection. So I'm guessing that's probably what it is, and the data sheet just lied, because that would kind of explain this. But let's see what the scope says. And I used to, actually, is this still hooked up to my computer? No. Wait, maybe. No. I used to have my scope hooked up over USB, but not anymore apparently. And yes, I know this isn't a great way to connect the probes. There's a big loop, but it's the quickest way, and it's not at high frequency, so it should be fine. So I'll just show you the scope after I turn it on, because I really don't have the ability to show it at the same time. At least not easily. Okay, let's turn it on. Make sure you can see the board. Not that anything interesting is going to happen. Enable needs to be high. That's what it is. The default OCP is 20 milliseconds. Okay, perfect, Ahid. Good find. So 20 milliseconds, what is that in kilohertz so I can check? What, 1 millisecond is a kilohertz? No, that'd be below audible, I think. But do the math on that. I'm not good at that in my head. Okay, so... Oh boy, I had this hooked up backwards. I'm really glad I didn't turn that on. That would have ended the stream in a very fun way. See, that's the problem when I'm doing stuff on stream and not paying attention. I had these hooked up backwards. Not for the previous test, just for this one. That would have been a glorious time, because there's no reverse polarity protection on this. And someone asked what do I mean by loop stability, as in traditional buck converters rely on ripple on the output side to sense the switching frequency or to turn the loop on and off for controlling the output voltage. But this does it in this really goofy way, which honestly I haven't really looked into enough. And they explicitly said it doesn't matter what type of output ESR you have, which I'm thinking it does. 50 hertz? Okay. So if I get a 50 hertz on off, that means it is triggering the overcurrent protection. So ground, positive, 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 negative, negative. Okay, let's see what the scope sees. Oh, the scope signal is actually really clean. Huh. Yeah, there's like nothing on the 12 volt side, so if it's triggering it, it's not actually drawing any power on the input side, which is what I was expecting it to be. Wagon, did you check shorted pins? Yes, I did. As far as I could see, everything was good. So there is like the slightest, there's the slightest bit, and I'm not even going to be able to really show you. There's the slightest bit of ripple that I'm seeing every 10, 20, 30, 40, like 60-ish milliseconds, but it's tiny. So I guess let's check now maybe the output side. But there shouldn't be I mean, there is ripple, obviously, because the LED, but... Huh. Did you simulate this board, or is it straight from the typical app? No, I didn't simulate this. If you had a bridge rectifier on the input, it wouldn't matter. Yeah, but nobody puts a bridge rectifier input on a DC supply. There's a lot better ways to prevent reverse polarity. Bridge rectifier would just be too inefficient. Yeah, I guess I'll check. I'll check under the scope again, the microscope, and see. Oh, wait, I didn't have the... Let me try it again. I didn't have the output supply on. Okay, so that makes it worse, as you would expect. But yeah, there's still no ripple on the input whatsoever. Just that tiny bit at like 10, 20, 30, 40, like just under 50 milliseconds. And I mean, it's not even enough for the frequency monitor to pop up. Okay. And if I up this, let me try one other thing. Let me go to constant resistance, and let's do, so what, we're at 5 volts on the output side, so let's do like 100 ohms, because I know sometimes that's a little goofy. I don't think it's doing anything here, but just in case. No different. Yeah, that power LED is flickering like crazy. Off. Let me disconnect the scope. Yeah, I mean, it's ice cold. Yeah, I don't even need to check the microscope. I can tell those pins are good. I'm just, everything about this seems to me still like there's something with that feedback V-sense plus pin and V-sense minus pin. That's what it seems like to me. I'm gonna pull up the data sheet and see if I can see anything else. And just in case anyone's looking, this is the part number if you want to check out. Oh, and I guess I'll also paste you the image of the primary schematic. Okay, there's the schematic. Oh, I guess another thing is maybe my pinout is wrong, because that certainly would explain it also. But yeah, if someone wants to double check me on the pinout, that would probably be a really good idea. I'm gonna check here on my end, but it's always good to have multiple eyes. Yeah, unless someone else sees something, my pinout looks to be good. I don't see any issues, unless someone else sees something. Did you break out the P good pin? Oh, yeah, I guess I can check and see what's on P good. That's a good idea. Yeah, I don't know where it is, but I know I at least have that resistor, so I can at least tap to it. Let me see. P good. Yes, P good is pin 2 of J2. Oh yeah, I literally have it written on the silk screen right in front of me. So yeah, let me grab, actually I can just throw it on the scope and see if it's like flickering at all also. Okay, so let's try, let's see what happens with that. Make that so you can see it. Okay, so I have the scope on P good. Let's turn this on. So P good is pulled to 0 volts. So what does that mean if it's to ground? I'm assuming that means it is not good. Let me see. P good, open drain, V out is within set limits. Yeah, so when P good is down, that means there's an issue with V out. So then let me check the, let me go look under the microscope and see all of the resistors. I know I had checked them, but maybe one of those did lift up a little bit, because maybe on the V-Sense side also, that could explain it. Okay, I'm gonna have to take off my microphone. Or, Ahid, is it P good is active low or active high? Check that. I'll be right back. I'm gonna look at the resistors. Okay, yeah. Everything looks spot on. So I guess I'll probe the output side, even though that's really not going to show us much because we obviously know there's a ripple there, but at least we can see maybe the frequency of it. And if it's at the 20 milliseconds, then it is turning on and off. I mean, I certainly don't know the cause of this, but I think it's pretty safe to say that that's what's happening, is it's going into some sort of fail-safe mode, whether it's, like Ahid said, a overcurrent, or if it's something else that's causing it to shut off. But potentially seeing what frequency it's at, that could help. I don't really know. And this is where, like, the troubleshooting side of it, it's just kind of trying random things. Just makes it a little harder doing everything under a camera. But I guess that's part of the fun in all of this. Graphs show P good when power is high. Yeah, that's what I noticed as well. So P good is definitely not being asserted, or it is being asserted, which means it is not stable on the output side. But since it's not flipping on and off, that means the IC itself is triggering on and off. But this scope will at least show that, I think. Okay, so negative, negative, positive, positive, negative, negative. Okay. Okay, so turn this on. Oh gosh, yeah, this is ugly. Oh, you guys will like this. Check, hang on, I need to pull this up. So that's on our 5-volt output. That does not look good. You don't have to be an expert to know that there's something wrong with that picture. So frequency is at 20 hertz. So a heater, anyone who has the data sheet out, see if there's anything that triggers at 20 hertz. Because that's pretty gnarly. And it's not fully turning off, but that is obviously the audible thing that we're hearing. Try using a pro tip to see if there's an open connection. No, I just checked all of them. There isn't. Sion, I think that looks like a pretty shape. Exactly, see? You're the only one looking at the bright side here. What if that was kind of my goal all along? Is to make like a really cool looking output kind of square wave. You never know. So PV and read frequency is at 80 hertz. So it is at kind of a multiple of that. I don't think that that's anything. I bet you couldn't intentionally make a shape like that. Yeah, I bet you're right. Feedback issue? Yeah, I mean, that's what my guess is. Fault limit is 20 milliseconds. Yeah, that's what a heat said. But 20 milliseconds, I mean, is close, but that's 50 hertz. Could this be caused by a reverse diode? There isn't, other than the LEDs. backwards capacitor, they wouldn't fit on the footprint if they were. Yeah, it's just weird. The frequency is what's tripping me up. It just seems like an odd frequency. Oh, a heat. Good point. I completely missed that. It's on. Oh, you're right. Okay, he's right. He figured it out. Yeah, so it's on for 20 milliseconds, and then it shuts it off for basically 20 milliseconds. So that's what it is. So it's definitely turning itself off and then back on for sure. And it's doing it with the 20 millisecond restart timer, which is what my first guess was. I mean, that's kind of obvious. It's just now everything in my past experience, this seems exactly like there's not enough ripple on the feedback loop, and it's losing all ability to regulate it, so it shuts off. But this explicitly says, and let me find that exact quote. It does have I2C, so you can read which fault code. Good point. So that might be the next test. In theory, right? So the device has integrated internal compensation and is stable to use with any type of output capacitor. All components for ramp signal generation and error amplify compensation required for the control loop are internal to the IC. In order for the device to cover a wide range of Vout operation, the internal ramp signal components are automatically selected depending on the Vout voltage and switching frequency. The error amplifier internal compensation consists of a resistor in series with a capacitor. So, without looking at I2C, you could measure shutoff time with cursors. No, you can see, because if you look, every division is 20 milliseconds, so it's right here. So that's perfectly at 20 milliseconds, and then it's off for basically 20 milliseconds, and then is on for 20. So yeah, I mean, it's not exact, but it definitely is 20 milliseconds on and off. So the only thing I can think of right now, and actually what fault codes does it have? Oh, it has a bunch. Overvoltage fault response, so it has the only thing I can think of right off the top of my head is to remove all of the output caps except the 47 microfarad electrolytic to get rid of all three of the 22 mic ceramics, and that will essentially increase the ripple by a lot. And if that is what's causing this issue, it should fix it. But that goes against what they recommend in the datasheet, but obviously datasheets like to lie. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So C16, 17, and 18. What do you guys think about that, Ahid? What are your thoughts? That's what my gut is. Because again, I don't care what the data sheet says. That's absolutely what this seems like, and it's fairly easy enough to test. So again, I'm not going to be able to really get this on camera because it'll take me longer to move everything than it will to do it. So I'll be back, hopefully not more than like 5 minutes tops. Okay, got it. Okay, Johnny's still here. C14, correct. C14. Yeah, I mean, it's a ceramic capacitor. There's no polarity. Okay, check DC. Okay, so let me, I removed all 3 of the output caps except the electrolytic. So while now it will be more noisy on the output side. Wait, I'm hooking this up the wrong way. I was going to say I didn't remove it from the input side. So now the output loop should have a lot more ripple on it, which with a traditional buck, that will improve loop stability at the expense of a higher ripple. But let's see what it does with this one. If this does fix it, this will be hilarious because you can go back and watch the stream, and I mentioned like 3 times how having this much low ESR capacitance on the output side normally would never work, but they tell you not to worry about it, so I trusted them. And now we'll see if that trust was incorrect. Okay, and I did it again. I hooked up Clarity wrong. It's shocking that I don't blow up more boards. Knock on wood, obviously. Okay. Positive, positive, negative, 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 negative. Okay. When the device does not power up the output voltage above the VUFL in a time longer than TMF, the T on fault condition is output 20 milliseconds, so delay is 20. So that's definitely what we're doing. Negative on left screw. Yeah, good call, Wagon. You had my back if I wouldn't have caught it myself. Good looking out. Okay, so let's see if that did anything. It did actually. It's still flickering, but it's definitely less. Okay, when I put a load on, it's still the same actually. Let's see if the scope looks any different. But I do think it is a little less. Not like drastically by any means, but it does seem to be a bit less. Okay, so turn that on. The trace did change a little bit, but not really. What's crazy is I just realized how high the voltage spike is, so it's spiking up to like 9, almost 10 volts. Yeah, so it is just about as bad. So it was not. Are the V-Sense lines connected? Yeah, I mean, let me double check on the layout. Yeah, all looks good on the layout. Did you mess up the V-set resistor using a 10K? Graph says 11K equals 12 volts. Ahid, give me a page number. Oh, I see it. Oh. Good call. Ahid, I think you're right. So then wait, another solution, because I don't know if I have a smaller 0402 cap, since the input supply, or what is 10 volts or 10K, no, 10K still works. That just might mean our input supply would be too low. So what if I just up the input voltage by a few volts to then make that 10K in more of a valid range? Because good catch, Ahid, but my problem with that theory is 10K is still valid. It's just maybe 10K is too close to the 12 volt input and it's making it mad. Chip can go to 28 volts, so yeah, I guess let's up the voltage a little bit. But how did I mess that up? Because what, we should be at 8.87. No, Ahid, you're looking at the wrong thing. I do have 8.87K on VSET. Ahid, look at the schematic. Look at pin 15, VSET. I do have with an 8.87K. So no, that's fine. There's not an issue there. Did I mess up assembly? I mean, I guess, but the problem is since these are all 0402s, if I messed it up while not paying attention on the stream assembling this, there's no way to know without reassembling another. RT sync is also 8.87. Is that okay? RT sync 8.87 is 1000K, so 1M. That's fine. Address 8.87. That obviously doesn't matter. You have a multimeter, just measure board. Yeah, but you don't know that that's actually what you're measuring across because you're also measuring from the internals of the IC. I mean, I guess I can always try because if it is going to a high impedance input, then in theory, it would be fine. But, so try R11. But yeah, I'll give it a try. Is JP2 set right? JP2 is the enable. That's what I'd asked at the beginning. It should be pulled up, right? The JP2 isn't set, so it's default being pulled up, so I think it's okay. But if someone wants to double check that for me, by all means. And I'll check the resistance of, crap, I forgot what it was. I think R12, R11. R11. Yeah, so that's close enough to 8.87 for me. I'm pretty sure that's good. Yes, I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think that is the issue. But yeah, what about JP2 again? JP2, if it's not on, that means enable is pulled up, which means it's enabled. Put a 20K through hole across it. Yeah, I'm kind of out of ideas for the moment. I mean, I can always check the switch node, but that's always hard to actually be able to probe. Our 8, 9, and 11 have no values. Yeah, they do. I might have just cropped it out. Right below R8, 9, and 11, they're all 8.87K. So like, look here. So I guess I can try probing the switch node, but like I said, this is not gonna give us what we think it will. I don't think. At least it doesn't work. Especially I don't really have a good way of probing it, but here we go. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. Here, Ahid, this shows exactly what the 20 milliseconds on and off. Let me just make sure you can see this. Crap. It's really hard to see. Let me try to get this up. Okay, so watch when I probe this again. So you can see the buck is on for a short bit of time. Oh, come on. It's on for a short bit of time and then it turns off. So that is definitely it doing that 20 milliseconds on and off thing, because if we zoom in, we can see look how gnarly that is at trying to switch. Yeah, that's really bad. But again, a lot of this could be artifacts from the probe. Yeah, it's really hard to probe this. What's also weird is it's only I'm just not able to get a good trace on it, but that definitely shows that that's our issue, the 20 millisecond fault. It's just what's causing it to fault that way. Clearly I do need another pair of hands. That would be very helpful. Is there an over voltage or under voltage limit on the input supply by any chance? Because without us knowing what the actual failure is that's causing the fault, we don't actually have a way of knowing. And I'm just wondering if so it looks like that's only set, oh, the default value is 15 volts. The default value of VN low is 10 volts. So maybe I do bump it up. So I guess let me bump up the input voltage a little bit. I mean, I don't think that that's it because I'm above it, but okay, so when I hit 16 volts, it shuts completely off. Yeah, so it is just tripping out in all sorts of ways. I would say it is quite thoroughly drunk. It does not know what it is doing. All right, let me look under the microscope one last time. Just because with it faulting like this, something just seems off. I'll be right back. Okay, yeah, I looked at literally every single solder joint and it looks spot on. So I do not know. Did you check a bare board for shorts opens? No, I have not. Is it getting hot? Nope, it's nice and cool. sounding like it's not reading the output voltage. Yeah, definitely seems like something on the output sense. It's just what that might be, I am not sure at all. Yeah, that was my thought as well. I don't see any of the other faults in the 22nd. I'm guessing there's no load. No, there is a load. I have a meeting in 7 hours. Need my beauty sleep. Have fun. Oh, we will. Remote debug is not fun. I have dinner. Not that I'm putting pressure. I would scope the vSense inputs. Maybe the 10K resistors are slowing that down. Yeah, what does it say in the data sheet about the actual resistor value of the vSense? Yeah, random name. Good call. Why did we put the 10K on there? I mean, I know why you would do it, but maybe the capacitance isn't getting charged up enough. Ahid, I'm pretty sure. Is there an evaluation board for this out there? I'm trying to think of where we got that from. Yeah, let's, I don't have my, they're back ordered. I have a set of 0402 no eval board. Okay, so yeah, I'm guessing we put the 10K in just to help buffer that, but yeah, there's a chance that if the capacitors in there are too large on the ADC side, that they're not getting fully charged. So let me see what lower resistors. I mean, I know I can just short them across, but yeah, maybe I just go ahead and short them across. Good call, random. Let me see which ones they are. R12 and R13. Where are they? R12 and R13. Got it. Okay. Good call. I'll be right back. All right. That was actually kind of a pain. I just ended up shorting it just across with solder. Did you test the logic levels of all enable pins? There's only one. Is you placing it for a lower R could also explain why it's going over 5 volts. There's an app note showing series resistance to reduce jitter. Okay, so that's where we got that from. So no, I did not replace it with a lower value. I just completely took them off. So now there is absolutely no resistors on that V-Sense line. Another thing is, even if this doesn't fully fix it, if it at least changes something, that at least might also give us some hints of what to check next, perhaps. Okay. Negative, negative. Let's not mess that up for like the 8th time. Okay. Negative, negative, red. Okay. Let's see. Moment of truth. It wasn't at first. Okay, wait. Maybe. It's better. It's much, much better. It was looking good. It was looking good at the start. But now it's back. Yeah, open. Maybe the solder. It seemed fine. I'm pretty sure it's good. Oh, I'm hitting now the current limit. I think we might be good. Okay, look at this. Random name. Look at you. Trying to show me up on my own stream. Or I would say successfully. Oh, hang on, my microphone cable's stuck. Oh boy. It is stuck in my rolling chair. Oh boy, there we go. Okay, that was fun. Look at that. Okay, so now I feel like we almost have to now go for glory and check this at like a higher current just to end the stream, see what happens. What are you guys thinking? Just go balls to the wall real quick and see? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I mean, this input supply is only rated for 3 amps. I'd have to use my X-Tech to go to higher current, but we can at least let her rip a little bit on here. I am tempted to put the resistors back in just because they should works. But the 40 amp, no smoke, no glory. Yeah, I definitely am gonna put back resistors. Oh, whoever looked up the app node, Bruce, did it say what value resistors? Maybe my 10K was just too large. If Sion says go for it, then we gotta go for it. So let's let her rip. Okay. So we're at an amp on the output side. Everything is nice and cool. Oh, and there's no output caps other than that electrolytic. That's not good. Okay. All seems good. Let's go more. I'm gonna hit the limit on this. Okay, I gotta change the resistance settings, the range, so let's turn that off. Range 15 ohms. Okay, on. All right, we're at 1 amps. Very small resistors, like max 51 ohms. Okay, so then I probably just made a typo when I was adding them to the schematic. So that's probably all that was. Okay, so 1 amp. Now 1.2. 2 amps. Nice and cool. Dang. Yeah, 10K sounds definitely wrong. Okay, 1. Oh, I don't know if you hear that. The DC load fans just kicked on. Dang, this is not even warm. This is impressive. We're at 5 amps on the output side right now. So now let's go over and start lowering here. We're gonna hit the max of our supply here in a second. Yeah, so we're basically maxed out, so 6.4 amps. Dang, that's pretty impressive. It's just barely now warm, but not really. So now, before we end the stream, one last thing. Let me slowly turn this back up so I don't just crash the rail. Off, off. I want to see how the 5-volt output, would it help if the chip had a heatsink? I mean, it's barely even warm. Like, I can't even really notice it on these gloves. So at this point, I don't think it would make a lick of difference. Bruce, and they're actually building an RC filter, so caps are also needed. So what was, I need to go back and watch the stream and see what actually the reason was for that, because that doesn't make sense why we added them. If what you're saying, oh, dang, I bent my scope probe while probing the inductor. Lovely. Okay, so now let's turn this on. And let's turn this on. Force. So we have a peak to peak of 1 volt ripple right now, but keep in mind there are no ceramic output caps, so that's why that's so high. So I think that makes sense. I don't think that's anything too sketchy. Is there any lower frequency? No. So what frequency is this? So, yeah. What gloves are they? Cotton? They're ESD cotton gloves, yeah. Be a Mythbuster, right? Okay, so let's crank up the current and see how bad that ripple gets. Okay, so you're not gonna be able to see what the current is, so I'll tell you. So we are at 1 amp now. Ripple really didn't get any worse. Maybe the slightest bit worse, but not really. Now we're at 2.5 amps. Yeah, the ripple is completely stabilized. And now we're at 5 amps. Yeah, so that ripple is like non-existent here, especially with no ceramics whatsoever. And we're at the ripple is at 1 megahertz, which is exactly what the frequency is. So I would say this is a significant success here. And this will be interesting when we throw those caps back on and see what that ripple goes to. I bet it's going to at least cut it in half, if not a little bit more. Would it be good to have a digital and analog too? Yeah, I hear they're pretty decent. Bruce, ESD, I thought that was a myth. It depends on who you ask. Australian accent also needed. I don't think I can do all of that. It's always my pleasure to encourage you, Kyle. Exactly, I need that. Alright, so I think that is a pretty fantastic way to end the stream. Yeah, so I like doing streams like this back here. So yeah, I'll start now on the boards that we do on stream or do videos of. I'll start doing a stream back, testing and doing the assembly. I need to get this set up a little bit better back here, but I think it worked out decent. And random name, you literally commented like 3 times and figured that out. Well played. You need to join the Discord so I can give you your gold star. But yeah, join it and let me know, or post in YouTube videos that was you from the stream chat. I really appreciate it. That was pretty awesome. But yeah, so I'll end it here. I appreciate it, guys. Stuck it out for almost 3 hours. Wow, I didn't realize it had been that long. Yeah, see what a typo can cause? Right. Alright, guys. Well, I will see you guys next time. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.